right. So thank you so much for helping me out. I appreciate it. I know that there's a lot of information that we're going to go over today, but this is really helpful for me as far as what getting to school and everything. So just to kind of give you a rundown of what to expect, what we're doing is what we call our mock client intakes. So for class, I'm finishing up my almost last trimester of school. And for class, we start practicing and kind of putting into practice everything that we've been learning throughout the last couple of years. So the way we do that is set up these mock client intakes where we go through all of your health information, kind of what your goals would be for working with a nutritionist, and your past history as far as who you've worked with in the past, and we do the first step. Since we're not licensed at this point, we really can't take you to the next jump from there, but I can provide you with things like educational material or referrals out to somebody else if you think that it's somebody you'd like to work with. I could help you find another nutritionist, or if you felt like there was fitness professional, somebody that you wanted to work with, I can always help you with that too. So I like to say that up front so that we kind of are all on the same page. What we're going to do today is kind of start off and just go through the form that we have that talks about everything from your goals to your health history to where you are now and where you want to be. Okay. Everything that you say on here is confidential. I share it with my classmates through this video just so that they can critique me. They're not looking at you. They're not looking at things that you have to say. There's no judgment there. It's to help make me kind of become a better practitioner. They send me feedback forms and they let me know how I'm doing. So feel free to say whatever you want. It doesn't leave this space. As far as the structure of the session, we'll go through everything and I'll kind of open it up to questions at the end if you have any. But if not, then like I said, we'll kind of move on to that educational material side of things. I will take all of the information that you give me and sit down with one of my professors and kind of go through it piece by piece, and they'll give me what their recommendations would be if, say, you were one of their clients. I'll come up with what I think. They'll give me some feedback there, and that's really the only time that any information gets shared outside of this call, and it's not you, it's just age, gender, numbers types of thing. They don't really know who you are outside of just the paperwork. So if there's anything that comes back from those conversations with them that I think would be good as far as extra educational material, I'll definitely send it your way. But other than that, I feel like it's kind of a little bit of everything. I know it's a lot right up front, but for the remainder of the session, it's really going to be you talking. I'm going to ask questions, kind of probe a little bit, but I want you to kind of run with anything, and if you have things you want to add in, if you feel like there's areas you want to elaborate, feel free to do that. All right? Okay. Awesome. Okay. So kind of the first question, one of the starters as far as nutrition counseling in general is, why? Why are you coming to a nutrition counselor? Why are you working with a nutritionist? So if you had to kind of pick some goals or pick some reasons that you were coming to work with a nutritionist, what do you think you would say?
To lose weight.
Okay.
To have more energy.
Okay.
And to get off medication.
Okay. All right, so starting at the top, kind of elaborating a little bit more, because all those are really great goals, and they can all mean something different to different people. Okay. So something like lose weight, really good goal. Where are you now? Where have you been comfortable in the past? Where would you like to be?
I want to lose 20 pounds.
Okay. And is there a reason that 20 pounds is kind of your number that you want to hit?
That's kind of the number that I feel like I was. It was before 2 of the kids, but I feel like I was the happiest with with my body.
Okay.
And I had the most energy and was working out the most, and that's kind of where I felt, that I needed to be.
Okay. As far as working out at that point, what were you doing?
CrossFit.
Okay. And was there a certain way, do you feel like you were eating at that time?
We were doing paleo.
You were doing paleo at that time? Okay.
We were. Yep. We did it strict for about 6 months.
Okay. You said that was before 2 of them, so
yes,
before...
I had 3 kids.
Had 3 at that point. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's, adding 2 more mouths is definitely tough. So,
yes.
That's good to know, though, because a lot of health in general is just how we feel, whether it's a number or anything. If you were feeling happy and you felt good about yourself at that point, then that's a great goal. Okay, how about the second, more energy? How do you feel energy-wise now?
I think that I have energy, but I would like to have more positive energy.
Okay.
More in the mornings as well.
Okay.
And I feel myself having a harder time going to the gym now than I did before. Like, I want to be able to want that a little bit more. And I think that all coincides with eating and drinking habits.
Okay. And we can definitely talk a little bit more about those in a little bit, as far as kind of eating and drinking habits.
Okay.
So as far as energy is concerned, we'll get a little bit deeper into it later to kind of the way that it works with sleep, but you said more energy in the morning. How does your energy kind of flow through the day now, do you feel like?
In the morning, it's definitely a little bit less. I kind of have to get up with the kids, but then during the day, I can feel it going down at about 3 or 4 o'clock.
Okay, so you feel like you have a kind of a dip in the mid-afternoon.
Yes. But I definitely don't sleep through the night either, so that might have something to do with it.
Okay. How often, we'll talk a little bit more too, how often do you feel like you get up during the night right now?
Like 4 to 6 times.
Wow, okay. Any reason?
Just kind of wrestling. Can't sleep.
Okay. That's good to know. When you wake up during the night, I'm jumping around a little, that's okay. When you wake up during the night, do you find it easy to fall back asleep, or do you have a hard time getting back to sleep?
It takes me probably about 10-15 minutes to get back to sleep.
Okay. How about when you first go to bed?
It's a little bit harder for me to, I'm not like, I don't jump into bed and then pass out. Like, I kind of have to have that downtime and then I'll go to sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably takes about 10-15 minutes to fall asleep when I go to bed, too.
Okay, so we'll come back and kind of touch on sleep in a little bit, because I think that's a really big one.
Okay.
And then kind of last but not least, mentioned coming off of medications. Any certain medications that you want to stop?
So I'm still on the anxiety and postpartum meds from the last baby.
Okay.
And that.
That's okay. I can get anything else.
Yeah, it's an anxiety med. Okay. And then also the Klonopin as needed.
Okay, and your goal would be to get off of those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's great. What we can do, or what I would suggest doing as far as nutrition is concerned, I was kind of explaining this to Madison yesterday too, nutrition doesn't live in its own bubble, and fitness doesn't live in its own bubble, and sleep doesn't live in its own bubble. All of these things are what make up, our day-to-day life, and everything plays a role together. So, getting your sleeping habits kind of where you'd like them to be, and your nutrition habits where you'd like them to be, and kind of figuring out all of those pieces together can, kind of have you start working in that direction of seeing if getting off your medication is something that would work for you. As far as my scope of practice now and even after, that wouldn't be something I would never say, stop your medication, but it's definitely, I think one thing you can do, or that nutrition can help you do, is kind of get you to a point where you feel, okay, this is kind of the best place that I can be at with all of the things that I have the ability to tweak. If that's, food, exercise, all of that piece, I feel like I have dialed all of that in and I'm kind of at 100%. If at that point in time you say, I'm working with a mental health professional and they don't feel like I need this medication anymore, great. Or maybe they'll say, you can cut back your dose, or they can say, you'll take it every other day, those types of things. I think it's real life at the end of the day too, so getting off medication is a great goal if that's what's best for you. If it's not, then you work with it and you tweak your nutrition and your daily activities to make sure that you're supporting your body for any kind of potential nutrient deficiencies that some medications can lead to. So, great goal if that's where you want to be, but at the same time, your mental health is is extremely important.
And I have someone that I go to every 2 weeks.
That's perfect. That's awesome. So I'm glad to hear that. Okay, awesome. So that kind of leads us into our next question, which is, what other types of health practitioners are you currently working with? So mental health.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anybody else as far as like a trainer or gym you go to, anything like that?
I go to Orange Theory.
Okay.
And then do yoga.
Cool.
And we have the CrossFit gym in the garage.
Great. Okay, cool. So let's move on to kind of some more of the kind of historical data, you could say, as far as like medical information.
Mm-hmm.
So did you have any kind of recurrent health issues as a child?
I don't think so. No.
And as far as food allergies, any food allergies?
No.
Okay. Great. And then kind of going through, let's see. As far as surgical procedures, any surgical procedures including C-sections?
Yes.
Okay.
I had a tubal ligation.
Okay.
And a full hysterectomy. But they left my ovaries.
Okay. All right. And then I know that you guys recently moved,
Yes.
so that's exciting. But any other major travel outside of the U.S. or Canada?
No.
Okay. And then one thing that I wanted to ask and clarify about. So recent lab work. I know that you had, within the last few years, had lab work done and tested positive for MTHFR.
Yes, I have both strains.
Okay, so you have, let's see. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else that's come up in lab work?
That was the biggest thing. I had some small deficiencies in like iron and but the biggest thing was the MTHFR and having both of them.
Okay.
So they had, said the B, but I have stopped the B12 shots.
You stopped B12. Okay, so you were on B12.
I was on B12 shots. I have stopped those. That was when I was kind of trying to get off the medication and go just on those, and it did not work.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yes.
so you kind of moved away from your medication when
Tried to just do this.
B12.
It
Okay.
did not work.
Okay.
Yes, so
that's good to know.
I don't know if I can. I have to talk to my doctor about doing both of them at the same time.
Okay, the B12 and
the meds. Yeah.
Gotcha. And that's definitely something that we can look into. Some medications definitely interact with nutrients and, kind of figuring that piece out. So when you say both, do you mean you have two strands of the same, or you have one of each?
I have one of each.
One each. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. Okay, so family history. I have all of that information, and then medication supplements outside of what you mentioned as far as medications. Any supplements you take on a regular basis?
Turmeric.
Okay, great.
Just regular women's vitamins.
Do you know the brand?
Smarty Pants.
All right. So here's a good question for you. Do you know by any chance if your women's vitamin, what type of folate or folic acid it has in it? That's definitely a good place to kind of start looking. So one thing with people who have MTHFR, processing folic acid, the synthetic form of folate, which is something your body can't really handle.
Okay.
So finding a multivitamin that has actual folate in it, they consider methylated folate, is kind of a better option. And there's some really great brands that I can send you.
Send me those. That'd be great.
For sure. And they're not like $900 for a multivitamin, which is important.
That's why I stopped the shots.
Exactly.
They were so expensive.
Right,
It
and
was
that's
costing about $500 a month.
Right. So, and that's again, that kind of feeds back into that whole nutrition being a realistic part of life.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
if it's not something you can afford, you're not going to do it, so
Yeah.
it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah. But
so,
if you can send those to me.
yeah,
that
for
would be
sure,
great.
for sure.
And then I take probiotics as well.
Okay. Great. And So the turmeric, any specific reason that you started taking the turmeric?
Because my knees started getting really bad.
Okay. Any
I've recently done x-rays and, things on my knees, and it's just the way that my knees are formed.
Okay.
But they don't really fit in my kneecap that well. So I have special those things to go in my shoes now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried anything like a fish oil for your joints?
I have, and yes, we have fish oil too.
Okay.
I just need to be better about taking it.
Okay, that's all of us.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Those things are all really, you're on the right track for sure with stuff that you're taking. Sometimes maybe just dialing it in a little bit more and getting the right multivitamin for you.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I have a couple of different brands I can share with you.
Okay.
And it might take trial and error a little bit to see which one works for you.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Let's see what else we got going on. I know your pregnancies are multiples. With your pregnancies, any complications?
No, not till Alex had
His tube.
double tube, or
Okay.
yes.
But as far as
Double
any
equal
things
tube,
like
but no,
preeclampsia?
no, none of that. No,
Okay.
none of that.
Great. Okay. So that's great. Moving on through your physical activity. I know we talked about you do Orange Theory and yoga, and then you have the gym in the garage. How often each week would you say you're doing some form of exercise?
I would say right now, not as often as I want. Right now, I only do about 3 days a week. My goal when the kids were going to school, I was doing 5.
Okay.
But I also have been trying different things too.
That's great.
But when the kids were going to school, it's 5 days a week of Orange Theory.
Okay. And how did you like it?
I like it.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. How about like rest and recovery? So things like stretching, foam rolling.
I do that at Orange Theory some, but I don't, I should probably do that at home more.
Okay. That's, not a should do,
Yes.
shouldn't do, but if it's something you're doing at Orange Theory, that's great. It's always great to do at home too, especially if you're, kind of having some joint issues or issues with your knees, just to maybe take some of the pressure off there. Working with a chiropractor, a lot of chiropractors that I work with have done more like myofascial release and more like soft tissue over adjustments, so they can give you some really good tips on things like different, foam rolling to do or different, release if your knees are, even if it's something that's joint and kind of structural. As your knee starts to hurt, you start to favor the other knee, and then you change the way you walk, and you change the way you move, and your muscles get tight, and things just don't work exactly the way they're supposed to anymore.
Yes.
So a lot of times things like massage and working with chiropractor can definitely help,
Yes.
like realign and really kind of remind your muscles how they're supposed to fire. So I would definitely recommend if you have somebody in the area that does soft tissue massage, that's a great option.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So back to sleep. Okay. So what time are you normally in bed at night?
Between 10 and 11.
And you said it takes you about 10 to 15 minutes to fall asleep once you get into bed.
Yep.
And you said you need to kind of wind down before. What kind of things do you do to wind down?
Watch a show, have a glass of wine, just kind of sit and chill before, after the kids go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah, or get some work done or something.
Okay. So, not that there's anything wrong with watching TV or having a glass of wine.
Yes.
It's totally fine. But our bodies, right before we go to bed, as much as we don't think it does, we think it, calms us down. Things like watching TV really does stimulate your brain. So it kind of gets your brain going. So, one of the big recommendations is to turn the TV off before you go to bed. Try to give yourself about 20 minutes of no screen time, no TV time before heading to bed. Even if it's like reading a book or just kind of turning the lights down in the house a little bit and finishing up what you're doing, it'll kind of help your body remember that it's time to go to sleep.
Okay.
Same thing with alcohol. As much as a lot of times it helps us fall asleep, it doesn't
Yeah.
really help us stay asleep by
Yeah.
any means. You're not truly asleep. It's more you're kind of not quite as asleep as you should be. So, kind of limiting the amount of alcohol that you're drinking, especially too with MTHFR. It's one of the things that they recommend is limiting the amount of alcohol intake. So
Why is that?
So the way that your body, the methylation cycle that your body goes through, you're not able to kind of clear that out as well as most. It's something that I am not 100% proficient in, but one of the big recommendations when it comes to MTHFR that I've seen is limiting alcohol intake. Now, again, real life, actual life. Not saying that you can never have a glass of wine again, but that's something that I can definitely pull up more info on and send to you and kind of give you the ins and outs of how that cycle works.
Okay.
But again, it's kind of making your body the best it can be, and maybe limiting that alcohol intake is one way to keep it.
Gotcha.
Okay. And then you said you wake up about 4 to 6 times during the night, and you fall back to sleep within about 10 to 15 minutes.
Yes.
What time do you normally wake up in the morning?
During school, I'm up by 6:30.
Okay.
6:30. Not in school, I'm usually up by 7:30, 7:30 probably.
Okay. Do you feel rested when you wake up? Or do you still feel tired?
I usually feel tired like when trying to get out of bed, but
Okay.
then once I get up, then I'm fine.
And then somewhat, then somewhat of a specific question, just because I'm interested. You said you go to sleep between 10 and 11 p.m. Do you ever find that you get kind of an extra burst of energy at the end of the night, or do you feel sleepy when it's time to go to bed?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes, I guess. My sleep schedule's all off, because it's like when Jonathan's home, sometimes I sleep better, and then when he's not home, I sleep, yeah. So it's just...
There's a lot of change in your sleep pattern.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned that you get tired during the afternoon. A lot of times that can be a sign of blood sugar dysregulation. So, your blood sugar dipping and dropping in the afternoon. A lot of people get that. If you are consuming foods that maybe are messing with your insulin a little bit during the morning. So that's one thing we can talk about, and kind of the material I can send you is what that looks like as far as like a normal cycle, and some good like snack options that you might be able to build in there that are a little bit lower in things like simple carbohydrates and are higher in things like fat and protein to kind of help you stay full and maybe have a little bit of a less effect on your blood sugar. Okay. Another really good option too is, I don't know if you're an oatmeal eater, but oatmeal in the morning with how much it's got going on there as far as fiber and things like that can really help regulate your blood sugar throughout the day. So even if you're already eating, eggs and avocado, even like a small serving of oatmeal might help. Okay. So that definitely could be an option. The reason I asked about the sleep in the evening, if you feel more tired or less tired, is sometimes when our adrenal response or our hormone response, stress hormones, isn't quite right. We end up, we see people getting kind of this burst of energy late at night because their cortisol is a little stupid. So, if that's happening too, and I think that, it's always worth kind of, again, providing you some of that information on. And a lot of that comes from, if you're waking up 4 to 6 times during the night, are you ever really getting into a deep sleep? Are we really ever allowing your body to rest and allow those hormones to release as they're supposed to? Or are you always kind of on like high alert and like you feel like your body feels like it always needs to be ready to go? Which, you have 5 kids.
Well, and my hormones are very...
Yeah, exactly. So, that's something I think to look into as well. Okay. So we can kind of talk a little about that too. Let's see. Okay. So, as far as your stress level, kind of moving into that, kind of break our stress up into a couple of different categories: work, family, current health status, and just life in general. So, as far as your work, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you feel your stress level is there?
It's not too stressed. I mean, it gets a little bit, but I would say like a 4.
Okay. How about like social family situations?
Right now we're in the middle of a lot, so it's definitely more.
Okay.
So I would say like a 7.
Okay. You know, things like moving,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
changing
New
schools,
job,
new job, and
schools,
all of
yes,
that is
yes.
huge.
Yeah.
That, you know, that's it's a big change.
Yep.
How about your current health status?
I would say a 6 or 7,
Okay.
just because I think I've been, trying to get to that point to where I was before, but being on vacation too doesn't really help it at all.
Yes.
So my goal is kind of to, when the kids go back to school, to really have at it.
Great.
Yeah.
And then how about just life in general?
It's not. It's like a 4.
Okay, that's
It's
great.
pretty stressful.
That's good.
Yeah.
When you think about making changes, do you feel like your current health status and kind of getting to those goals that you want is largely in your control? There's things that you can do, or that's kind of out of your control?
Yes, definitely in my control.
Okay, great.
Definitely in my control.
That's awesome.
It's not huge changes. It's
Right.
like little things that I know that I can do.
Okay. Well, that's
That I just have been having a hard time doing while on
vacation. Yeah, and that makes perfect sense.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. Let's see. So we'll go through those in a moment. What I want to do is kind of go through what your daily foods are, and I know that we're currently on vacation, so maybe looking at a normal day. If you could run through kind of a normal day of food for me, and then
Okay. So in the morning, I'll at least have 2 cups of coffee.
Okay.
A lot of times I will say I will not eat breakfast too.
Okay.
When I do eat breakfast, it will be either fruit or, I'll go get a acai bowl, or I will do that paleo granola with raspberries or something.
Okay.
I would say though 3 out of the 7 days I just have coffee in the morning.
And when would you say you eat next?
I usually will snack around, usually go to gym at 9:30 and 10:30, usually snack around 11-ish.
Okay.
And it's not bad, I usually have nuts or, some fruit again. I need to be better about vegetables.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Or a RX bar, I'll have an RX bar.
Okay.
Or I'll make a smoothie or something.
Okay.
And then lunch when the kids are at school are never very, big. It's usually around 1, I'm thinking.
Okay.
And again, it's more of if I'm at home, it's more of snacks for lunch.
Okay.
What I did at 11. If I'm out, if we go out somewhere, if I'm out, I usually just get salads.
Okay.
Dinner, I'm usually good till dinner. I usually don't have a snack after that.
Okay.
Dinner we try to do around 6, and we have a menu for dinner during the school year too, so everybody knows what we do every night. And we will do one pizza night and one Taco Tuesday night. I usually just do taco salads without the shell, or we'll do the paleo pizzas.
Okay.
There's probably 1 or 2 nights out of the week that I'll eat carbs.
As far as
bread or pizza or something. And then for dinner though, always a meat or fish or chicken.
Okay.
Some kind of vegetable, usually asparagus or broccoli.
Okay.
Those are the ones that the kids really, or salad. We eat asparagus, broccoli, or salad is what the kids will eat.
Okay.
And then we don't really do a starch or something. We don't if we do anything, it would be sweet potato fries and sweet potatoes.
Okay.
But it's usually just those 2 things.
Okay. How about after dinner?
I'll have nuts maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about wine or any other alcohol?
Yes,
Okay.
I will have wine. And there will probably be at least 2 glasses a night. Mostly wine. And mostly red wine.
Okay. So again,
At home. Yeah.
Okay. Again, it's not terrible to have a glass of wine.
I know, but I mean, that's where it is, because I don't eat awful.
So, going through this, if the first thing that would pop out to me, and I'll kind of put the numbers together and send them over to you, is you're not eating enough. You're not getting enough calories in. Yeah. So you're going to Orange Theory. You're doing things like yoga. You're active, and you're running around back with 5 kids. And we're just not really getting enough calories in there. So our bodies are really smart, and the food that you give it, if it doesn't feel like it's going to get enough, it's going to hold on to what it has.
Gotcha.
And you're going to have a really hard time, losing weight if you're not taking in enough calories. And I know that sounds backwards, I really do.
Yeah.
But if your body isn't being fueled the way it needs to be, it's not going to work and function properly. So, weight loss isn't going to be its first priority by any means. Making sure that you're eating lunch is probably going to help with some of those mid-afternoon energy dips.
Okay.
And then breakfast for sure.
Okay.
Getting in a good breakfast can help kind of set the rest of the day.
Okay.
Like I said, oatmeal is a really great way to set your blood sugar for the rest of the day.
Okay.
Even if it's just something fast. You can get the Bob's Red Mill that comes in the big bag. Okay, that's good. We can come up with something else. We don't have to do
instead.
So you can. So some of that, like paleo Nola, is actually really good. It has a lot of fat in it because it does have a lot of nuts. So I would just kind of watch how much of it you're eating.
Fat. Okay.
Yeah, and fat isn't a bad thing, but I would just watch how much of it you're eating, so you're not consuming all of the fat in just nuts.
Gotcha.
Having your snack at like 11, or even with your lunch if you're getting salads, throwing like avocado on there, or the snack that you're having, doing like fruit and maybe doing like berries and like coconut milk on there. You can do that for some fat too. The full fat coconut milk just like drizzle some on top. That's nice and easy. But I'll put all this together for you, and I'll show you kind of what you're actually needing and kind of where we're not getting quite enough.
Gotcha.
One of the other questions is water. How much water would you say you drink a day?
I have been better about that.
Okay.
I have been better about that. Every morning when I get up, I try to drink water with lemon, like a big glass of it.
Okay.
But I would say, what is this? 8 ounces? Is this 8 ounces?
It's probably 12 if you filled it all the way up to the top.
Okay, so probably 8. So I would probably drink like 4 of these a day.
Okay.
So that's probably not enough.
Not quite enough. So you want to take your body weight and cut it in half, and then have that amount in ounces.
Gotcha. So that's not enough.
Right. So carrying around like one of these guys, water bottles, it has the markings on it, all that kind of good stuff, and you can always fill them up. I know so many places are getting easy now. They have like the water fountains in the buildings. If you're driving the kids to and from school, I'm sure they have one there that you can kind of pop in and fill up if you need to, or just do it at home and just kind of try and remind yourself there. Especially with working out too, something like Orange Theory. You're burning a lot and you're doing a lot during those classes. Making sure that you're well hydrated is going to be really helpful. Okay, cool. So we'll definitely look at that caloric intake being a big one. Okay, and then just one more like section to run through here. As far as one of the things that we like to look at too is things like heavy metal exposure and exposure to maybe some toxicities that you don't realize for regular in your regular day. So would you say you guys cook in aluminum cooking equipment?
No, but we don't cook in our pans need to be we need to get new pans. But no, it's not aluminum.
Not aluminum. No. Okay. How about plastic containers in the microwave?
We do not use plastic containers in the microwave.
That's good. Some other ones that we didn't have on here. Let's see. Fillings. Do you have any cavities and fillings?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what type of fillings they are? Are they silver ones, or are they? Let's see. Let's go. Let me see that. Okay, so it looks like we may have one silver one on the bottom.
I think they redid the other ones to white.
Gotcha. Okay, great. All right, so the last piece of this is what we consider a nutrition-focused physical exam, and basically what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about things like skin health, nails, all that kind of good stuff that can kind of point to potential deficiencies that you may have, and nothing. You say you have dry hair, that doesn't mean that there's something specific immediately that's going on. It just kind of gives me a clue of different ways to go down and different, potential nutrient deficiencies to look at. So let me see. Let me pull up my list so I don't miss any. So let's start at the top with your scalp. Do you feel like you have dry scalp, itchy?
It does get dry.
Does get dry.
It does get dry easily, yes.
Okay. Alright, that's good. Okay, so dry scalp. How about your hair? Find it dry, oily, brittle, full?
There's a lot. I have a lot of hair. It gets full. It's very full.
Okay.
But not dry. Not oily, really. It's kind of normal. It's just full.
Okay. Do you lose hair easily?
Yes.
How about the skin on your face? Would you say it's oily, dry, red? Do you get acne easily?
No acne easily. I think I would definitely say it's drier than oily.